this video, I'll be taking these two comic books to make a rebooted one. Now, for those of you who haven't been following, first off, you're going to want to subscribe to the channel, and second, you're going to want to watch this video, which I'll leave a link to in the description below. Basically, it's me remaking this book that I made as a kid, and, rebooting it to be a better story than it ever could have been back then. And this is what it looks like. I'll give you a little explanation what it's about. Our first book introduces us to a hero named Gentry, and Gentry starts out your average guy until he got shocked by an electric eel, gains lightning powers, and becomes a superhero. I figured he could be a mentor figure to our new hero named Riker, except there's one problem. His origin story is super, super bad. There's a boy named Riker who does track. One day he gets super speed powers for no reason, because that's just how it works. He meets a villain named Lightning Bear who invades his dreams and wants to prove he's better than Riker, so they have a race. Riker wins, the end. Book 3, on the other hand, is pretty good, but there's one problem. Gentry's the main focus again. And I didn't create Riker just to throw him away in the next issue. So I'm going to try to combine these books to make that one. And to do that, I'll have to find what I do and don't like about each book. But just a heads up, there will be spoilers in the descriptions. Alright, things I liked was Riker being the focus, him being younger, and Riker being Gentry's cousin. Things I didn't like, on the other hand, was Lightning Bear as a villain, because for those of you who didn't know, he was literally a Flash-built bear. And why would we introduce another lightning-themed villain after the eel? Things I disliked was Riker randomly getting powers, and the book had no Gentry in it. Now, as for book 3, some things I liked were the villain, and some things I didn't like was Gentry being the focus and how Gentry became Bully Maguire. Okay, not that extreme, but there was some parts in book 3 where Gentry got a new suit, and it was his equivalent of the symbiote suit. He started acting like a jerk, and yeah, it was fun concept, but it was not right for the story at all. Now, with all that out of the way, let's start working on the actual book. I started the cover first without even having a rough draft, which is something I would pay dearly for later on. And some of you guys know that I originally was going to use computer materials to write this book, but I want to do something different. So yeah, there's my reasoning for not doing that. Now, the actual book starts at Riker's track meet, which I thought would be fun because we could have Riker get his powers at a lab, and if the lab was right next to his track meet, I think that would play a cool role in the story. So yeah, he's at his track meet, he's playing football with his friends, and they accidentally crash a football into the lab. And everyone is freaked out to go get it, because that's the same lab that Gentry got his powers in, which a lot of people still think he's dead. But Riker knows he's not dead because, like I said earlier, Riker is Gentry's cousin. So Riker says he'll get the football for them. And when he gets it, he spills a little beaker on himself. And there's our villain, the Scarlet Stalker. He sees Riker sneaking into his lab. And Riker instantly dodges a bullet and runs super fast. So now we know that the serum that he spilled on himself is what gave him his powers. So then he explains that he wants to use his powers for good, just like the Crimson Spark, because that's who he looks up to, like how Spider-Man looks up to Iron Man and that kind of stuff. And a month later, it shows Riker doing his hero stuff, stopping some low-level criminals, and then he meets the Crimson Spark for the first time. And he's a really big fan. But the Crimson Spark tells him not to intervene until he sees a truck with a symbol on it. So he calls his agents so that they can look into it. At his base, the agents explain that since he saw that symbol, that means he's being hunted. So Gentry demands that they get Riker and, get Riker into hiding with him so that they can both be safe. In Chapter 2, Riker gets a note from his mom that says that he's being recruited to go into hiding with the Crimson Spark because he's being hunted. Then, the Scarlet Stalker appears in his room, crashing his window. Gentry tells him to run, and as he's running, he runs into a pothole where he's dragged down into the sewer. and he sees some of Gentry's agents. He asks where he is, and Gentry says he's at his base. Gentry also reveals that the hologram was fighting the Scarlet Stalker and that the real him is safe and that they have to go on an airplane tomorrow to go into hiding. While they're on the plane, Gentry's living the high life and still not telling Riker his identity, which makes Riker kind of mad. And then it shows us another plane, which the Scarlet Stalker is in, and he set fire to it, jumped out the window of his plane to land on their plane. They get freaked out. Riker asks if he can go with Gentry to fight the Scarlet Stalker. Gentry says no, and the Scarlet Stalker helps him up. And as they fight, it's revealed that the Scarlet Stalker is Dr. Roberts from Book 1. What? Who could have guessed? And then also, Riker realizes for the first time that Gentry is the Crimson Spark. And that's the end of the chapter, where everyone is super confused. Chapter 3 starts with Gentry thinking that Dr. Roberts dies, but he didn't. And Gentry shocks him. And then Dr. Roberts explains that when he was eaten by the eel, he survived the explosion after Gentry, defeated the eel. But he thinks that since Gentry never came looking for him and all that, and he just started taking credit as a hero, he thinks Gentry's a fraud. And he tried to prove it by creating the serum to give himself powers. But then he says, of course, that didn't work. For me, anyway. Because he's saying that it worked out for Riker because Riker got super speed powers. Then Roberts reveals that he doesn't even care what happens to him. He just wants to expose who the heroes really are. And then he shoots an arrow at Gentry, or he tries to. Gentry dodges, and they fight, but Gentry knocks Roberts off his plane, and he falls into a sea. Then Riker won't talk to Gentry because he feels betrayed that Gentry never told him his secret identity. Gentry reveals that they're still going to the hotel, even though they defeated Roberts. While they're there, Riker and Gentry have an argument about Gentry's secret identity, and Riker leaves Gentry. While Gentry's in the hotel, he hears some rattling noises in his closet. He looks in there, and one of his butler guys, I guess, is tied up. And he reveals that it was a trap, and Gentry gets knocked out. Then Riker enters the hotel to apologize to Gentry, only to find out he isn't there. He finds a note from the Scarlet Stalker. The note says Riker can get Gentry back if he beats Roberts at a race, so Riker zooms out to go fight Gentry. The final chapter begins with Gentry being excited that Riker showed up to save him. Roberts tells him that he has to race him first or else he won't give him Gentry. So they race, only to find out that it's rigged and that some traps were sent for Riker. Then that random girl from Book 1 shows up again and claims the whole situation as totally normal. Riker gets another trap launched at him, and right as he's about to finish his mile, Dr. Roberts starts standing there with knives ready to strike at Riker. He dodges, and he even wins the race, and Roberts agrees that he will let Gentry free. But he still won't let the heroes defeat him until Riker lifts up the fence and hits Roberts in the head. When Roberts wakes up, he's in a police car, and the heroes are glad they defeated him. But Riker is kind of sad because he says he'll miss being a hero, and Gentry gives him a speech about how trouble follows them and they'll be able to be a hero again someday. And Gentry even mentions maybe their team will grow, which, spoiler alert, it will. Then Gentry asks if Riker wants to be his sidekick. Riker doesn't like that idea, but Gentry tells him seriously he does need a hero name. Riker says he already has one, and he's Blue Blaze. And then the book ends for now. And, well, that's my sequel. Hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for Book 3. Of course, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.